Air raid sirens in Kyiv, jets in the Romanian sky. As Russian missiles cross new lines, NATO scrambles, France warns, and peace talks teeter. But with Europe's far right rising and Trump shifting the rules, will Western unity hold? Or is Ukraine already paying for a fracture that's only just begun? On the night of July 21st, Romania found itself responding to Russia's escalating aerial campaign against Ukraine. The Romanian Ministry of Defense reported scrambling military aircraft as Russian strikes targeted Ukrainian infrastructure just across the border.
At approximately 3:00 a.m., radars detected air targets developing on various flight trajectories in the airspace of Ukraine north of the Romanian border, in the Marmaresh, Suceava area.
The response was swift and coordinated. 2 Romanian F-16 aircraft took to the air to perform air defense tasks, while 2 Italian Eurofighter Typhoon fighters stationed in Romania were also ordered to take off. Ukraine had confirmed taking measures to disperse military aircraft from airfields in the west of the country, following massive Russian attacks on Ukrainian airport infrastructure.
After completing their missions, the F-16 fighters of the Romanian Air Force landed around at the Borcea base, and the Italian Eurofighter Typhoons, around 7 at the Mihail Kogulnicianu base.
This wasn't an isolated incident. Poland had also scrambled military aircraft on Monday amid another large-scale Russian bombardment, highlighting how the conflict continues to affect neighbouring NATO countries even as the war drags into its 3rd year. The capital city of Ukraine bore the brunt of Russia's latest offensive, with at least 1 person killed and 15 wounded in attacks that struck at the heart of civilian life. The assault began shortly after midnight of July 21st and continued until around 6 a.m. local time, keeping residents awake with machine gun fire, buzzing drone engines, and multiple explosions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy described the scale of the attack, stating,
Russian strikes are always an assault on humanity. In Kyiv, a kindergarten caught fire, along with residential buildings and other civilian infrastructure. Ordinary apartment buildings were damaged in Kharkiv, Ivano-Frankivsk, and the region. 15 people have been injured. The youngest is a 12-year-old boy. Everyone is receiving assistance. 2 people were killed in the attack. My condolences to their families and loved ones.
Ukraine's Air Force reported that Russia launched 426 Shahed and decoy drones, along with 24 missiles of various types. The targeting was particularly cruel, hitting civilian infrastructure where people sought shelter. The most disturbing strike hit Lukyanivska metro station, where hundreds of people were sheltering. Smoke engulfed the station, and video footage showed people standing on an underground platform filled with swirling dust, with one woman heard sobbing. The western city of Ivano-Frankivsk, hundreds of miles from the front line, was also badly hit. Its mayor, Ruslan Marcinkiv, said it was the biggest attack since Vladimir Putin's full-scale invasion in 2022, with several people in surrounding villages hurt. Explosions were also reported in Kharkiv, the country's 2nd largest city. The timing of Russia's massive assault was particularly significant, occurring just hours before the UK and Germany were scheduled to chair a crucial meeting on President Donald Trump's plans for NATO allies to provide Ukraine with weapons. The virtual meeting, led by British Defence Secretary John Healey and German counterpart Boris Pistorius, included US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth, NATO leader Mark Rutte, and NATO's Supreme Allied Commander Europe, General Alexis Grinkowicz. Trump's recent shift in tone toward Russia has added urgency to these discussions. Last week, he gave Moscow a 50-day deadline to agree to a ceasefire or face tougher sanctions. At Monday's meeting, Healey was expected to urge Ukraine's Western partners to launch a coincidental 50-day drive to get Kyiv the weapons it needs. The focus remains on advanced air defense systems. Ukraine wants American-made Patriot missile systems, and Germany has offered to finance 2 new Patriot systems while raising the possibility of supplying systems it already owns. However, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz cautioned about delivery timelines, explaining,
They have to be transported. They have to be set up. That is not a question of hours, it is a question of days, perhaps weeks.
Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts continue alongside military preparations. Ukrainian President Zelenskyy announced July 19th that his officials have proposed a new round of peace talks this week, with Istanbul likely to remain the host city. When asked about the venue for upcoming negotiations, a source told Russian TASS news agency,
Yes, Istanbul is an acceptable platform.
However, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov emphasized on July 20th that Russia is open to peace with Ukraine, but achieving its goals remains a priority. Putin's conditions include a legally binding pledge that NATO will not expand eastwards, Ukrainian neutrality and limits on its armed forces, and acceptance of Russia's territorial gains. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot visiting Kyiv on July 21st after witnessing the damage from Russian airstrikes underlined the international perspective.
This is why the massive package of sanctions we adopted at the European level last Thursday is welcome. It increases pressure on Vladimir Putin, increases the cost of this unbelievable war.
Zelenskyy stressed the need for intensified efforts, declaring that negotiation dynamics need to be increased.
Everything must be done to achieve a ceasefire, and the Russian side must stop avoiding decisions.
He added that Ukraine remains ready for a leaders-level meeting to achieve peace.